podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Saturday, October 3rd, 2020. This is episode 1733. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast comes to you from TWiT's LastPass studios. Now, you're focused on security, but are your employees? LastPass can ensure they are by making access and authentication seamless, whether employees are working in the office or remotely. Visit lastpass.com/twit to learn more. This episode of The Tech Guy is brought to you by Worldwide Technology. You need to maintain your critical operations, and you have to keep your employees safe while doing so. From idea to execution, Worldwide Technology can keep you up and running and help you plan for the future, working with you every step of the way. Contact WWT today to request a consultation at wwt.com/twit2. Well, hey, how are you today? Good to see you. Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy, your Tech Guy. Well, this is the show, whether you want it or not. I'm sure there's a gardening show somewhere else on the dial, but this is the show where we talk about technology, computers, the internet, social media, smartphones, smartwatches, big screen TVs, surround sound, anything with a chip in it, self-driving automobiles. In fact, our car guy, Sam Abul-Samad, gives us an update every week on high-tech vehicles. Scott Wilkinson will be here in about 20 minutes talking about home theater. We have Gizmos and Gadgets with Mad Magazine's maddest writer, Dick DeBartolo. Johnny Jet talks travel, such as there is. But it's traveling as a technology person. That's what this show's all about, technology. Anything with a chip in it. Phone number 8888 Ask Leo. I want you to keep that to hand in case you get a urge to speak up. You say, wait a minute. Hold on. I got something to say. Or more likely, I can't boot my computer. Either way, I'd love to hear from you. 8888 Ask Leo. That's toll-free from the U.S. and Canada, but you can still call outside that area. You can still call because, it's toll-free. You just have to use like Skype out or something that can call a phone number. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. There's a website. If you hear something on the show and you say, wait a minute, I got to write that down. Don't talk so fast, because I know sometimes I talk a little fast. You could just go to the website and it's all there, because James DeRuvo, my scribe, he can understand what I'm saying most of the time. Sometimes he says what? Most of the time. And writes it down at the website. And that's free. There's no sign up. You just wander in. It's like that bar in Cheers. Everybody doesn't know your name, though. That's the difference. TechGuyLabs.com. TechGuyLabs.com. Google had an event this week. Oh, my goodness. Oh. They almost did. It was exactly half an hour. Pre-recorded, obviously. Very relaxing. In fact, they called it like Google's Night In, even though it was at 11 in the morning. It was like, get your slippers on. Get your bathrobe on. Lie back on the couch. Because this isn't going to be very exciting. And it wasn't. It was, well, for those of us who, like Google's phones or have liked Google's phones, it was kind of disappointing. It was kind of like, what the heck? They first of all, they muddied the waters like crazy. So in the past, what they have done last few years is like last year, this time of year, they announced the Pixel 4. Lots of new features, solely the radar, you could gesture at it, face recognition, all these new features. Then 6 months later, they announced the Pixel 4a, the low-cost, simpler version of that. And over the last couple of years, the 3A and the 4A have really been my picks for the Android phone to go with. From Google, so it's pure Android, but it's less expensive. It doesn't have all the whiz-bang features, but who needs those? The 4A is a great choice. So this time, they sort of followed along. They announced the Pixel 5. Yeah, that's the next in order, if you can count. But it doesn't have the hand gestures, the radar. It does, it has a wide angle camera now. Has 2 lenses. I guess we had that before. Here's the good news. It's $700, so it's about $300 less than the Pixel 4 was. So that's good. They didn't have an XL though. They just have one model. Just the Pixel 5, that's it. It was like they were tired. We're tired. Google feels like it's tired. Like they didn't do their developers conference this year. You know, every company, Facebook and Microsoft and Apple, they made their developer conferences virtual. They streamed them and stuff, and they came off quite well, I thought. But Google, we're tired. We'll just cancel it. What? Just can't. We can't. It's too much. So that was in May. That was the beginning of a bad sign. The 5 is cool, okay. And then they announced the 4AG, 5G, which is a 5G version of the 4A, which they announced just a couple months ago, but it's less expensive, but it's not comparable to the 4A. It's really more like a 5A. Both have the 5 and the 4AG have 5G have 5G connectivity. Nice if you care. I don't know. You shouldn't care at this point. It's going to be a year or two at best before we really see any benefits to 5G networks, even though the phone companies are buying all the ads and the balloons and everything. Who cares? It's not faster. It's not better. So who cares? It's just a letter and a number. Anyway, but all the phones will have it, and I guess so fine. So you buy it. Doesn't cost more anymore. Used to cost more. It's just a very ho-hum, and it's like, what? I don't understand why the 4A 5G, which you would think it'd be a 4A plus 5G radios, but no, it's a completely different phone. It's much more, it's very confusing. And they didn't even seem like they cared, honestly. It's like, here you go. Yeah, we're tired. They announced Google TV. So, and this is confusing too. When they first came out with Google TV way back when, you might remember this, Logitech and others made them and it had a keyboard and a mouse. It was like this crazy device. I bought it. I thought it was cool. It's like a computer on your TV. Then they realized nobody wants that. So they went the exact opposite direction and they did the Chromecast, which your phone is the remote, had no remote, no interface. It was all on the phone. Okay, fine. They did Android TV, and a couple of companies made Android TVs, and some set-top manufacturers did Android TV. Okay, fine. I like my NVIDIA Shield Android TV, $300, a little pricey. Don't recommend it, except it's really nice. Still doesn't have a lot of the features, a lot of the channels that I would like, say, a Roku or an Apple TV has, but, it's nice. Now they're saying, no, it's not Android TV anymore. It's Google TV. And here's the new Chromecast with Google TV. And it's $49. That's nice. It does 4K HD. That's nice. Dolby Vision. That's nice. For $49, it's, the lowest cost UHD device, 4K device out there. And it's nice. It's nice. It has all the channels. It's got a remote control. They compared the remote control to a bowl of candy for reasons I don't completely understand, because I wouldn't eat it. I don't, they're going to sell a few Pixel 5 phones. I mean, they're not going to sell a lot of them. They don't sell a lot of the Pixel phones anyway. And this one, they're going to sell even less, because who cares? And they're going to sell some Chromecast because it's cheap. But they've lost their mojo. What's going on over there at the Googleplex? Are you guys tired of life? Are you ready to... I just don't get it. I just don't get it. It's okay. It's okay. They'll be fine devices, and it's not my job. I shouldn't, just because the tech press wants some excitement in our lives doesn't mean you have to be excited about what you're doing. It's fine. It's not your job to entertain us. It was a little weird. That's all. I wonder about Google. I really do. I wonder if their heart is still in it. The founders, Larry and Sergey, they went on. They got their yachts and their playthings. Sergey's got apparently building blimps. I don't know what Larry's doing. He always said, I want to be on an island where there's no regulations. I'm sure he's in Barbados or something. Anyway, Sundar Pichai, who's a very, very competent, nice fellow, like Sundar a lot, always have. He's running the place. But it's a big place, and I feel like Sundar's like, I know, that's too much. I think he wants to retire. I don't know what's going on. So there you go. There's the Google event and my candid assessment. So the question I'm asking myself at this point is if you want an Android phone, what Android phone would be the best to get? I think the 4A is a good choice. I do think it's a good choice. It's inexpensive, relatively inexpensive, and it has all the features you want. Google still makes great cameras, even though the guy behind the camera division left. Mark Lavoie went to Adobe. He said, I've had it. He said, I want to work somewhere where they're into it. So he left. The guy who is in charge of hardware for Google, Rick Osterloh, introduced the thing. He's sitting on the couch. he's just, what happened the days when the predatory Steve Jobs would roam the stage and harangue the audience and say, this is the best thing you've ever seen. That's gone. It's like Rick Osterloh's on the couch going, yeah, here's a phone. I don't know. It's mostly finished. I don't know. I'm tired. It's the strangest thing I've ever seen. Anyway, that's my review. 8888 ask Leo, what is the best? At this point, I'm thinking it's going to be harder and harder for me to recommend Android phones. Apple is offering relatively low-cost iPhones, the SE, which is quite good. I think they're going to announce their new phones. We still don't know. It's overdue. They usually do it in September. We haven't received an invitation. Maybe Tuesday we'll get the announcement for the following Tuesday. So I was hoping maybe it would be, an October 6th announcement this coming Tuesday. Doesn't look like that unless they want to sneak it out. So I think it'll be October 15th for the new iPhone 12. That's, honestly, at this point, you're probably better off just sticking with what you got. Unless it's really old, then you get the new one. Give your phone a few years, 5 years, 4 years, whatever. Give your phone a few years, and then get a new one. And that's one of the problems I have with Android. With this Pixel 5, for instance, they said, hey, good news, we're going to give you updates for 3 whole years. No, that's not enough. It should be longer than that. Apple's still updating their iPhone 6S. You can get iOS 14 on that. How old is that? That's 5 years? So, 5 years. That's a reasonable amount of time to keep a phone, unless you're like my kids and you drop it a lot, an awful lot. 8888 ask Leo. That's the phone number. I don't know what's with where did Google's mojo go? That's the question of the day. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Your calls next. She hasn't lost her mojo, ladies and gentlemen. She's got it in spades. It's, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Kim Schaffer, the unbreakable phone angel. Kimmy, don't take no Schaffer. Hello, Kim.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You're wearing your shades.
Well, you just told me that it's another layer of protection.
I don't know. I'm just being paranoid at this point.
I can't see the computer screen because they're polarized, so I have to take them off.
Yeah. I decided, I normally wear contact lenses to work because, we do video of the show, so I should look purty. It doesn't help, by the way. But I do everything I can. I don't put on makeup, but I wear the contacts.
I do.
Yeah,
it's the only time of the week I do.
Get dressed up. Get your face on, as they say.
Put my face on.
But I just think I'm going to wear glasses now. The whole thing is falling apart. I'm losing my mojo, too. Pretty soon you'll see me in my slippers and bathrobe.
Well, vanity goes to all hell when you're wearing a mask.
Well, that's true. I don't have to worry about it as much on the mask.
Makeup sales have got to be plummeting in some parts of this country. Not so much in others, but...
No, that's a good point, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
You can't go into the store and get your makeover.
Yeah.
There's no point, because where would you do but just go home?
And also, aside
Maybe for
from
the
a little
Zoom wedding.
eyeliner and mascara.
Yeah, what do you need?
You don't need anything else because you got that much of your face covered.
Yeah, I got my Zoom shirt on though. I'm ready. I'm ready to take some calls. Who should I
Your
talk
Zoom
to?
shirt. How about Fryn in Phoenix, Arizona? I think you just had this done, so he has some questions.
Oh dear, you're not supposed to tell anybody about my nose job. That's secret.
Butt lift.
You know about that too?
Yes.
Hi, friend Leo Laporte, the tech guy. What's up?
Hi, Leo. I'm a regular listener. I'm actually in the chat room, too, actually.
What's your chat room handle?
Compter.
Oh, you've been in there for years. Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah, so I heard on Twig that you had upgraded to Arachnus and then took it out for Ubiquity in your home.
Yeah.
So I'm doing the same thing at my parents' house. They're all working from home, sitting at home.
Yeah.
So I got like 4 quotes so far, and I can't decide.
Let me explain what we're talking about because people are going Arachnus, Ubiquity. What are you talking about? Twig? What's that? So Twig, I'm going to define all the terms, is a podcast we do on Wednesdays. It's This Week in Google. And it's me and some other people. It's just kind of, it's just a round table. We do a number of podcasts at our podcast network, which is TWiT, TWiT, twit.tv. Stands for This Week in Tech. Okay, they're plug over. So that's what Twig is. So, because my wife's working from home and I'm, potentially doing some working from home, I could do this radio show at home now. We decided to I had Eero, pretty happy with it. But I wanted wired internet, Ethernet. So we had some guys come out, and the walls weren't open, so they had to drop cables down, But they did it. And we got like 20 or 30 Ethernet ports all over the place. My wife's office, her desk is wired. My son's desk, because he's Zooming to school, is wired. My desk is wired. The TV's wired because, you want, if you can, home theater wired. And everything's working smoothly. And then the installer was a home theater guy, a Cedia type guy. We talk about this with Scott Wilkinson all the time. And so he put in a home theater gear, which I had some nervousness about, called Arachnus. It's more expensive, not better. But Arachnus had the advantage using a technology they called Oversee, that if something went wrong, he could dial in and fix it. And I thought, well, then, if I'm at work, my wife has an IT guy to call. The problem is, I would like little things. I wanted to turn off the lights on the Wi-Fi access points because they were in the bedrooms. And I said, I want to turn those off. I didn't have access to any of that stuff. And he never responded. So after a few days of no response and me with zero control, I'm the tech guy. I said, come get this stuff. I want to send it back. I'm going to put in something I can control, which is a company called Ubiquity and a system. They make a consumer system called Amplify. I tried that before, wasn't happy with it. This is called Unify. It's for enterprise, for businesses, but it works great. It works great. So now I'm sorry, that was a lot of explanation, but my Unify system's been in for about a week and a few little hiccups here and there, but it's, we just ran out of time. So hang on, friend. Continue to guys' conversation. We got to take a break, and Scott Wilkinson, our home theater guru, is coming up in just a little bit. So I guess bottom line, I recommend it. It was a good upgrade. Expensive, but a good upgrade. Sorry, friend.
It's okay.
So, okay, he's going to take over the TriCaster while I talk to you. Let me put up the... It did it again. That's weird. Okay. Anyway, friend, so you're going to... Have you bought it yet?
No, so actually, I've just taken estimates right now. I am sitting down today looking at all the estimates.
It's expensive.
I've got, to drop all the wires, and we're having some other stuff done. So in the patio, we're putting patio speakers.
Nice.
Amp and
nice.
Putting another pair of speakers in the room. So that quote was $5,500 with Arachnus. I got a $10,000 quote for Ubiquity. I got some other...
It's funny because the Arachnus gear costs more than the Ubiquity gear. If you compare head-to-head, the Arachnus router versus a Unified Dream Machine, and I got the UDM Pro, but the Unified Dream Machine is $300. The UDM Pro is $379. That's the router. I got a PoE switch so I could power those access points. That was a couple $100 for the. I think I got the 48 port, so it was a little more expensive, but you don't need something like that. And then those access points, I think the little things you put on the ceiling, maybe $100 each, it shouldn't be more expensive than the Arachnus. The Arachnus has considerable markup.
Okay.
But it also depends where you get it. And by the way, I'm not complaining about the Arachnus necessarily. It worked really, really well. I'm just complaining about the fact that the installer never gave me the credentials to access it. They have an app called the Oversee Home app that theoretically you could do the things I wanted to do, but he never gave me those credentials. He just disappeared. And I realized that's not going to be a great tech support thing. And so for your folks, you might want to be, do you want to be the tech support guy, or would you prefer somebody else does it?
I could do it for them. I mean, it's currently I'm living with them because of this COVID. I moved out of my apartment, and I'm working from home, and I'm working.
You want this then? This is going to be a big improvement for you too.
Yeah, because I work from home now. I can't. Literally, my office is literally like 3 steps away from my bed.
I wonder why the Arachnus bid is so much lower. What you should really do is get the bid minus the gear. Just say how much just to put the wiring in.
Okay.
And then you can see what the cost of the gear would be. The Arachnus you can't buy direct, unfortunately. You can buy Ubiquiti direct, although it's designed to go through a reseller.
Yeah, that's what I was noticing with the Arachnus. Like I said, because Ubiquiti, when I quoted the other 3 people who did Ubiquiti, 2 of them just told me to buy the stuff off of like B&H or Amazon or go on Ubiquiti's website, and they said get like a UDM Pro, like you said.
I love the UDM Pro. Yeah, for small installations, the UDM. John has that, is $300 and is a Wi-Fi access point itself. But if you want to do mesh with additional base stations, if your house needs the extra space, and you still need Wi-Fi for phones, laptops, for IoT devices, you still need Wi-Fi, then you'll probably want to get the UDM Pro. It really depends on how big an installation you want. I'm very happy with it.
They recommended what you were putting in, and then they said they wanted 4 PoE, 4 access points in the whole house to cover the garage.
That's a lot.
The interior of the home and the backyard.
Yeah. Yeah, because you want it outdoors as well. Yeah. Yeah, we have 5. Garage. There's kind of 2 wings of the house, and each has its own 2 of those, so it's 5 total. But it's kind of more about coverage than anything else. But the coverage is very good on Ubiquiti. So I've been very happy. I had to I have so many. I should do a whole piece on it. I have to run, friend. I'll talk some more about it in the next break, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, friend. Our show today brought to you by a fine sponsor, Worldwide Technology. Oh, these guys are special to me. We went out there the last trip I took. It was St. Louis last spring to visit their Advanced Technology Center. They're just remarkable, and they're very nimble. They have really clever management strategies. They spend a lot of time thinking about process. They're an enterprise technology consultant and equipment seller. Worldwide Tech does a lot of things. Let's talk about what's going on today. You, of course, want safety for your employees. You want to be able to run your critical operations and stay resilient. But can you do both? Yes. WWT can help you do both. Everything from reopening and returning to work to customer experience to remote work, of course. Telehealth, they do a lot of work with hospitals and other health organizations. Remote learning solutions for schools and educational institutions. WWT is the partner you're looking for. If you're looking to reopen and return to work, customers, employees, patrons, they need to feel safe in the public and shared spaces. WWT helps organizations implement solutions that address the unique challenges of hybrid work environments, from managing occupancy limits to rotating work shifts and more. They can do it. They can do it all. Examples include even things like fever screening for safe reentry, managing and monitoring contact on premises, contact-free customer experiences, keeping meeting rooms contact-free. They also can support you with your customer experience. As we all adopt to the new normal, IT decision makers are presented with an opportunity to take a fresh look at their existing technology investments. You can learn about solutions that will create better experiences for call center agents and customers, regardless of circumstance. If it's remote working, they've got consumer-grade technology that helps employees connect with colleagues and execute tasks as if they were in the office. And organizations can now begin to move from urgently responding to the need to enhancing the experiences of their remote workers. Telehealth. Healthcare organizations need to rapidly connect with patients remotely to provide virtual care like never before. Technology can empower providers to connect with patients in their homes and at subacute care facilities and temporary care clinics. And, of course, remote learning. Now educational institutions at all levels have to adapt to teaching students from a distance. This involves online curriculum and ensures educators and students have access while also navigating remote learning tools and systems. It is a new world out there, and organizations are facing these new challenges. Leaders are struggling to know what technology decisions they should make to keep their employees safe and productive, still delivering critical services. Communication for your staff, home setups like audio, webcams, and monitors, just some of the little things that can be overwhelming. Let WWT work out the complexities and provide you with the guidance that will not only help you maintain business-critical operations, but optimize them for the future. Don't let anything stand in the way of serving your customers. Contact WWT today to request a consultation at wwt.com/twit and the number 2, twit2. WWT simplifies the complex. wwt.com/twit2. WWT enabling critical operations for business continuity. He did let his hair grow, but I can't say he spent big bucks on his wardrobe because he's wearing a T-shirt. It's home theater geek Scott Wilkinson, who is definitely hip. Hello, Scott.
Hey, Leo. How you doing, man?
I am great. Time to talk home theater.
Most of my wardrobe is manufacturer T-shirts.
Yeah. Well, you get those free. They're called freebies. Yeah.
Or swag.
Swag, stuff we all get. So, Scott, you got an event coming up. Let's talk about that before we go any further.
Sure. Actually, it's happening as we speak, and I'm going to be on later this afternoon. It's an online projection summit.
Oh.
Put on by projectorreviews.com, and I encourage anyone who's interested in projection, projectors, screens, calibration, any of that stuff, to go to projectorreviews.com, and at the top of the homepage is the story about this event. Now, it was happening Thursday, Friday, and today, and the sessions from the last 2 days and today will be posted and available to look at, after the fact. But I was doing some of the hosting for some of these sessions, and I was really happy to be doing that. And I got a couple coming up this afternoon, 5 o'clock Pacific time and 6 o'clock Pacific time, talking about calibration, my favorite subject.
Would you say that projectors are still a popular choice given how large we can now get these direct view screens?
Yes, and I would say yes. And in particular, this relatively new category that you and I have talked about more than once called laser TVs or TV replacements, which are basically a projector called an ultra short throw projector. So instead of being across the room firing onto a screen, it's almost right up against the wall where the screen is, and it shoots its light up onto the screen.
Oh, interesting.
And they're bright enough so that they can actually be a TV replacement. And whereas you can get an 85-inch flat panel TV these days for, $3,000-$4,000 even, which is pretty cheap, try finding a 100 or 120-inch flat panel for that price. You're not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even exist.
Mm.
You get up to 98 inches, I think, on a flat panel. That's the largest one available today. But one of these ultra short throw projectors can easily fill a 120-inch screen or more. And we're seeing a bunch of companies getting into this market. Epson, which is a famous, well-known projector company, mostly for what are called long throw projectors, those projectors across the room, now has, they just introduced an ultra short throw called the LS500. Comes with a screen, the right kind of screen, basically, and it's in the $4,000 or $5,000 range. Samsung just recently, just in the last week or so, introduced their first ultra short throw laser projector, 4K. The lower cost one is $3,500.
Wow.
Now,
Yeah, we have that. We have that Hisense, right?
You have the Hisense, yes.
Now that's
was
very expensive, but that was a couple of years ago. I think prices, as usual, drop considerably.
As usual, exactly right. So that was one of the first ones. Hisense was an early adopter.
I'll tell you, though, it's nice. It's 100 inches, so it's a giant screen. It's a little, like with any projector, it's not as bright, so it's a little more washed out. And again, this is 2-year-old technology. I don't even think this is the laser technology. I can't remember.
Oh, it is.
We have the dual lasers, I think. Yeah.
Correct.
And then he knows because he calibrated it. And then
that was really fun.
but there is one big issue, which is you can't move the projector or you will suffer the agonies of Hades trying to get it all aligned again. It is tricksy as heck. I mean, there's a little thing under the screen that changes the screen's angle of incidence, and you can move the projector around. And then there's some limited controls, not as much as on the old kind of projectors for keystoning and stuff. But there's some limited controls on that. But it is hard to do it by yourself.
And I have to tell you something. Epson really stepped up their game in this particular regard. They have a video that you can watch on YouTube that outlines the procedure in great detail. The projector ships with a cardboard template that you put up against the wall, and it's a jig, right? You know what a jig is? It's a device that kind of is a template for what you want to do, where you want to place things.
Right.
It's almost brainless. I mean, they've made a big improvement in exactly that problem that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's really a challenge, frankly. Yeah.
Well, it has been in the past. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
And I remember working with the Hisense guy in the studio when we set that thing up.
Yeah, you remember?
Yeah. You had to be really careful.
It was no fun.
It isn't fun. Well, the new projectors, I mean, it's now 2 years on, and people have made big strides. First of all, they're brighter.
Yeah.
You're getting at least 3,000 lumens out of these projectors now, which it doesn't mean much to most people, but the higher the number, the more light coming out, the brighter the picture's going to be. These ultra short throw projectors are designed to be used in a room with ambient light. They want you to be able to have a Super Bowl party with the lights on.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So, they've really worked hard at developing these ultra short throw projectors and screens that can allow you to do that can be a real TV replacement. The Hisense is, as I said, is one of the early ones. Now they've become a lot more sophisticated, both in terms of performance and in terms of setup.
Lesson learned, you don't want to be an early adopter.
Well, not unless you're a tech guy.
Yeah. It's all right. I mean, I can adjust it. And I have to say, now that football's back, watching the game on that 100-inch, that's the main reason we got it. It's just phenomenal. It's like you're there. It's like you're at the game. And of course, you have surround sound, and you feel like you're there. So that's fun, I have to say.
Oh yeah,
makes my wife very happy. She's a football fan.
Oh, that's right. She's a football fan.
And it's kind of like a home theater. Although when I really care about the picture quality, I have to confess, I go watch my direct view LG OLED because it does look better. The image is stronger. It's brighter. It also 4K, which I believe the Hisense is too, and so are these new ones. In most cases, though, they use a technique that I call pixel wiggling. Yeah, pseudo 4K, right?
It's pseudo 4K. Yeah, exactly. The Samsung actually puts 3840 by 2160 pixels on the screen by taking the little DLP mirrors and wiggling them around.
Right.
The Epson actually takes a 1080p imager and has an optical system that wiggles them back and forth between two different positions. So it's not true 4K, but it is sharper than 1080p. They do HDR as much as a projector can do HDR. Tune in this afternoon at 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock we will be talking specifically about the problems of high dynamic range on projectors, all projectors, because they can't do it very well. So,
Interesting.
How to get the most out of HDR from a projector. We're going to be talking about that this afternoon.
So the picture's always going to be better on a direct view OLED.
It is. But
it's not as
smaller.
big. Yeah.
Yes.
And so it's a trade-off.
It is. Yes.
And if you want a home theater experience, if you want to pretend you're at the movies, having a big screen, especially if you can darken the room, you forget very quickly that it's not quite as good, and you really get immersed in that.
Correct. That's exactly right. If you can darken the room.
Yeah.
If you can't, then one of these TV replacements will at least give you a bigger picture.
Where is the event? Can we watch a stream?
Absolutely. Projectorreviews.com.
Projectorreviews.com. It's going on right now, but don't leave the Tech Guy show. Scott,
No.
Scott, you'll be on later this afternoon.
Yeah, 5 o'clock Pacific time this afternoon.
Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. More calls right after this. Don't leave now.
Don't leave now.
That would be bad.
Yes.
All right.
They by the way, they do have a break from 12 to 1, so no one's going to be there from 12 to 1.
Thank God. Thank God. Now,
and again, don't leave the Tech Guy. Don't leave this show right now, because you can go watch the summit later.
John, why does it keep going back to this, John?
Going back to what?
Oh, I'm talking to John.
Oh.
Don't worry about it. Just know that you have 3 minutes and 30 seconds, and I can't show you the clock because we're having some issues.
Oh, you can't show me the clock. Okay.
Well, I could show you the clock, but I wouldn't be able to see you. Your choice.
Oh, no. Give me. I'll take me over the clock if I have to make a choice. I've got a countdown timer here that will sort of give me an idea. Beatmaster is asking, how much more elaborate and time-consuming is a projector calibration compared to a TV calibration? Not particularly. They're roughly the same in terms of time spent. The problem with a projector is that they can't really do high dynamic range. They just don't have the brightness. So calibrating for high dynamic range is more problematic on a projector than it is on a flat panel. You have to be more cognizant of the tone mapping because high dynamic range content is mastered at 1,000 nits, 2,000 nits, even 4,000 nits sometimes in some cases. And projectors can't get anywhere near 1,000 nits. It can't even get anywhere near 600 nits, which is the OLED typical peak brightness number. So you really have to throw out a lot of material, and you have to decide how the projector is going to deal with brightness levels above what it's capable of doing. And that's the biggest challenge. We'll talk about that this afternoon at 6 o'clock in our, at 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock. We're doing calibration and then just HDR on projectors in general. The panel are really good people. Chris Deering is an excellent calibrator, projector reviewer. Jim Peterson is with Lumagen, which is an external video processor. And Jason Dustel is with Meridio, which is a calibration tool, a signal generator. And we're going to have a great time. Kay Woods is asking me, how did the Jewish holiday broadcast go? Well, it went mostly very well. We were blessed to have Mike Klein, known as Mike Mann, in the chat room. I don't know if he's here now.
Oh, yeah, I see Mike. Yeah.
Oh, he's here? Okay, great.
No, I don't know if he's here, but I've seen him in the past.
You see him. You see him in here. Yeah, he's an Emmy-winning TV producer.
I had no idea.
And technical director.
Isn't that funny?
And we hired him to tech direct our high holiday service online, and his part went great. We did a lot of live readings and did you build a little hut out of branches and all that? No, no, that's this weekend, I think. My friends do that. Mm-hmm. And then they have meals in it. Yeah, yeah.
It seems like a fun holiday. It's kind of the Harvest Festival.
Yeah.
Sukkot.
That comes after the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur.
Yeah, they got to celebrate because it's been a tough days
year.
of awe and a tough year.
Kidding.
Yeah,
super awesome and not in a good way.
Yeah.
The one problem we had with our broadcast was the live music. Now, we didn't try to do live music from different locations. That's impossible.
Can you stick around for the top?
Happy to.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We were talking earlier with Frin about doing kind of the thing that probably your work does, which is dropping Ethernet all over the place so that your workstations, the non-mobile part of your enterprise is wired. That's always nice if you can do it. Same in your home. If you're building a house or you've got the walls open for some other reason, maybe renovations, it's always a good idea to put in, I would put in some conduit, a tube, so that you can upgrade it down the road. We put in, because we were doing it after the fact, we couldn't really put in conduit. I would have loved to, but the guy was going up in the attic and down in the crawl space and feeding the Ethernet down, and then his partner would have a little hole in the wall where they were going to put the Ethernet plate, and he said, left, I can't. Hey, yeah, I got it right there. And then he'd pull it through. You couldn't really do conduit. That's why you want to do conduit, though, because if you need to upgrade down the road, it's a nice thing to have. We put in Cat 6 Ethernet cables, which I think will probably last us a while. They can go up to a gigabit. In fact, under short enough throws, they can go up to 10 gigabits. I don't think we're going to ever need faster than that. Famous last words. You'd love to be able to put in fiber optics in the year 2050. but for now, I'm pretty happy with the Cat 6. So then you can plug in your computers and so forth. But in order to do this, you need some fairly heavy duty. You really need to dedicate a closet or a space to a rack. Suddenly you're now doing the networking your small business does, where you've got a wiring closet, you've got a rack, and you've got some rack mounted. You still kind of the same equipment that you had before. There's a router, there's a cable modem or a DSL modem, there's a router. There may also be, in my case, there is a pretty big switch. That's what the other end of those Ethernet ports is connected to, and typically 24 probably be enough, but you can get them in 48, and we got a 48 for expandability down the road, because the system we got, you can also attach telephones and security cameras and a lot of other stuff too. So just for expandability, I thought, well, I'm going to get a 48. It's not that much more expensive. And the rack typically will have what they call power over Ethernet, the switch rather, which means this is actually really handy. You can plug an Ethernet cable into it, and at the other end of the line, you can plug a switch or a Wi-Fi access point that doesn't have to be plugged into the wall. It can get its power through the Ethernet cable. So we have Wi-Fi access points scattered throughout the house. They're on the ceiling. That's the best. Higher up is always better, so that's the best place to put them, up on the ceiling. That way these bags of water called humans and pets that walk around don't interfere so much. And all you had to do was drop an Ethernet wire through a little hole in the ceiling, because that gives you both data and power. That's nice. So we put those up. It also powers switches if you want little mini switches. And there are some places where even with 2 or 4 Ethernet ports in the walls, like my home theater, I maybe needed 8 ports. So I put a little switch there. They can be powered through the Ethernet as well. That's kind of nice. You don't have to have a lot of power plugs. These installations typically will use gear that are not household names, unless you're a enterprise IT guy. In my case, we used Ubiquiti, but there's also Ruckus, the Aruba Systems, Ruckus routers. And there's also Meraki, M-E-R-A-K-I. There are other brand names as well. These are names well known in businesses, in enterprise, but not so well known in the home. It is more expensive. It's kind of an investment. But if you're working from home and you've got a kid or 2 or 3 working at school from home, sometimes getting the better Ethernet connections is worth it. So we were happy to do it. And I'm very happy with the Ubiquiti gear. Although the Ubiquiti gear does, there's some little glitches in it initially. Had some trouble and had to reset it a couple of times and so forth. But once it gets working, and it is now, it's very stable. And it has lots of features that you can turn on or off, including the ability to separate out visitors. You can have a guest network. Most consumer-grade wireless routers will do that, but it also can separate out Internet of Things devices. These are both using a technique called VLANs, or virtual local area networks, and you have to make rules about how they can talk to one another and so forth. But it's possible to kind of set up a more secure system where these inexpensive light bulbs that go on Wi-Fi and toaster ovens and Alexas and Googles, they're all on a separate network away from your computers, which have your personal data and are more hackable. If somebody gets into my Amazon Echo through a flaw, I don't have to worry about them getting into the rest of the network. So there are features to these higher-end systems. You pay for them. Typically, you would spend perhaps around $150 per wired port. That seems to be about a typical price. So as you put those in, that's the cost, depending on how easy it is to get in the attic or in the crawl space, how easy it is to get into the walls. You'll spend a little bit more for the hardware. Actually, I guess a lot more. It's funny, when I took out the consumer Arachnus gear and I had ordered the Ubiquiti, there was a period of time we didn't have either. So I put the Eros that I'd been using back in place, and actually they did a great job. They did a really nice job, even, through the switch to I had a dumb switch from TP-Link that I was able to light up all the Ethernet ports, and it put the Eero beacons around the house. And actually we used that for 3 or 4 days, and I would be willing to bet nobody noticed the difference. The nice thing about these new consumer mesh systems, they're pretty darn good. It's an interesting question. If I weren't the tech guy, I might have just said, "Oh, the heck with it. We're just going to go with that." But it's a learning experience. It's a learning experience. And of course, Eero did get updated by Amazon. They're going to have Wi-Fi 6. That'll probably be sooner than my Ubiquiti will have Wi-Fi 6. So there. Line 1 is Bill in La Jolla, California. Hello, Bill.
Hello, Leo. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for hanging on. What can I do for you?
Good. I'm so glad you do this show. I consider myself a very computer-savvy person, but I got totally scammed.
Ugh.
I have an email server for my email, Thunderbird, and suddenly the send screen stopped operating. When you write an email, it gives you the send option, and it would not work. So I said, good golly, I'll call a Spectrum.
That's your internet service provider? Okay. So you got to go into Thunderbird, make sure that there's 2 settings, there's 2 servers. There's IMAP, which is for the inbound mail. Sometimes it's POP, but modern servers use IMAP. I'm sure Spectrum's using IMAP. Outbound is SMTP. And what you want to do is go to Spectrum's website and make sure you have those ports right. Many internet service providers will block port 25, the normal SMTP port, because they don't want you sending spam or being used for spam.
Exactly. I did exactly that. And they said, yep, nope, I've got your SMTP servers all right. It's configured all properly. So I said, well, what do I do?
What did the bad guy do? How did the bad guy scam you?
Okay.
Hold on. Actually, you know what? Hang on, because I got to take a break at the top of the hour. I will run through this. I should be clear that Thunderbird's not a server. It's your client. The server is being run by Spectrum. That's the thing you log into for both sending and receiving email. And, you may need a password to get into that. Your ISP reasonably wants to make sure it's really you using it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Sorry, I had to take a little break there. We're going to go back to Scott in a second, but just want to finish this up. So what was the scam?
Okay. So Spectrum gave me this phone number to call for Thunderbird help. I called them, and they said the problem is drivers. That did not make sense. But they gave me a $249 estimate. No.
That's not Thunderbird help. Thunderbird's an open source program, and they don't charge for help, and they don't offer help. So whoever Spectrum gave you, oh, I see. This was the scam.
This is the scam.
Oh.
They made me sign an invoice saying that they will update all my drivers. And I went into MS Config.
No, it's not a driver issue. Let me give you real quickly. Make sure you're using port 587 for SMTP.
I'm using that.
Okay.
That's not the problem. Just I'll hurry up.
It's not a driver issue either because it doesn't use drivers. It just uses your internet connection. Is your internet connection working?
Oh, absolutely. So I watched them, and they were doing all the work.
Oh, you're dead. They got in your system. Okay, so this is something else entirely.
This morning they called me and said, you stopped payment on your $250. I said, yes, I did, because you're a total scam. I was watching you. You did not update the drivers, etc.
They put malware on your system is what they did.
Too bad. Hung up, and then suddenly, an hour later, my email client...
Was it a Spectrum employee that gave you this phone number? You had called Spectrum?
I will.
No, but how did you get this phone number?
Spectrum gave it to me.
You went out and you called Spectrum at a known Spectrum number, and they gave you this number?
Right, I'll give you the number.
So you need to no, I don't want the number. You need to report them to Spectrum because you had a malicious employee working on the side send you to a malware company. I've heard of this happening before. That was either you weren't talking to Spectrum, or if you're fairly sure that you called the number that was on the Spectrum webpage, then you need to report that to Spectrum. An employee gave you a bad guy's phone number. Now, the fix, you have to wipe your drive and start over. There's no fix for this. You don't know what he did. It's more than just outbound email. Almost certainly he's co-opted your computer, so you got to wipe it. And this is not unusual. Employees on a side hustle. I've heard of it happening before. Scott, all yours.
Thanks. Poor guy. I'm sorry
I feel
to hear
bad
that.
for him, but
I know.
That's terrible. It's terrible. And you need to change all your passwords. You need to wipe your drive. You got, basically, you got messed up. Bad.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, nice to see you all as usual. Titus says, what's the best feng shui arrangement for a laser projector? Sorry, don't know.
Don't put it on anything that moves because you'll be in trouble the minute you move it. The reason I got moved is because I had to get to the ports behind there and put in the switch.
Of course.
And I had to move it. I knew I was, and I've never
put it back.
I've never gotten it right since. I got to get there's a little doohickey that lets you doohickey the screen. I got to find that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a mess. It's all right. It's just not perfect. If
Right.
you don't look for it, you won't see it.
Right.
It's not visibly distorted. It's just,
Exactly. Well, we'll try and get you in touch with a Hisense guy. Maybe.
Oh, no. I got to find that doohickey.
Yeah.
I thought they left it in there. Maybe it is. I have to see. Because there's a little thing. Remember, you adjust that you can kind of tilt the screen with. Who cares? Anyway,
Yeah.
Go ahead. Take your time.
Thank you very much. Anyway, I was going to finish my answer to the Jewish holiday broadcast. Mike did a great job switching. The only problem was the live music, and it was only Joanna and me from the same location. We didn't try to coordinate live music from different locations, but the problem was we couldn't hear the balance that was going out on the stream. And we had several sound checks ahead of time to try and get the balance right. But in the end, when we watched the recording, it simply didn't sound very good. So we learned a valuable and important lesson, which is to pre-record all the music. We had some of it pre-recorded, but we wanted to do some of it live, and that was a mistake, and we didn't know. So we're going to, next time we do this, if we do this again next year, which who knows whether or not a year from now we'll still need to do an online program. If we do, we will pre-record all the music. And that was the only bummer. Otherwise, it did go extremely well. Beatmaster asks about calibration. The projector screens are not emissive. Where do you point the spectrometer at? Well, you point it at the screen. You have to be a little bit away from the screen and not in the light path of the projector, but you can point it at the screen and it'll read the light just fine. And that's what you need to do. You can't have one of those spider pucks that, you put onto an emissive screen like an OLED or an LCD. That certainly you cannot do. You need to have one that you can set a little farther back and look at the screen. Yes, that's exactly correct. Let's see. Tim Elliott's asking, have I played with the new Chromecast yet? No, I haven't, but Mike Heiss in the chat room. Nice to see you here, Mike, as always. Says he has one, and he's really digging it. So now I'm going to have to go buy one. like Leo, I have to go buy all the latest stuff. MacBookie asked, will the webinar that I'm doing this afternoon be available to watch afterwards? He's in the UK, and it'll be 1 a.m. Now, we actually do, believe it or not, have some people in Europe watching live. We did yesterday and Thursday anyway, so people are doing that. But yes, the answer is yes. All of this webinar will be available online to watch after the fact. I don't know exactly when, but it'll be soon. Very soon. I know Phil Jones is the head of the website, and he's a very efficient guy. So he's going to get it up in a hustle and a hurry. So you're going to be able to watch it.
Okay, John, tell me how to fix that because it's slowly receding into the distance. Yeah.
Oh man! Look at that! Wow, that's really amazing. Howard saw
the little blue arrow thing by the where? Yeah.
In an AMC Dolby Theater.
Yeah, click on this. Okay. And then it says position. Reset.
The movie was great.
Why is it doing that?
Whoa, look at that.
Is it me? Go ahead, Scott.
Thanks, Tech Dino, who hopes all of my family and friends are staying well. We are so far, absolutely, and I hope the same to you and to everyone out there listening.
So now I have the joystick. Okay, go ahead, Scott. I'm just talking to John. I can't talk any other way.
Yeah, no problem. Tech Dino, did that person ever ever email me the question about cochlear implants? Yes, he did, and I am researching the answer. That's a very specific question that's very interesting to me, but it's not of maybe I'm wrong, but I was going to say it's not of wide interest. I mean, people with cochlear implants have profound hearing loss, and they've had surgery to implant essentially an artificial inner ear so that they can hear something. And that technology's gotten a lot better over the years. And I'm looking forward to researching.
Thank you, Scott.
That's it.
Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography. We got your smartphones. We got your smart watches. We got your hackers. There's a lot of them out there. This time, right now is worse than ever. And it's a sad thing, because this is when we all need to pull together. But, of course, hackers are not what we would call civic-minded people. And they see weakness. They take advantage of it. You probably saw that one of the largest hospital groups in the world was hacked, had a big ransomware attack, probably caused some deaths. These people don't care. It's the Universal Health Services. They have 400 facilities in the U.S., Puerto Rico, and the U.K. Last Sunday, they were attacked, took down the entire digital network all over the U.S. Patients had to be rerouted to other emergency rooms and facilities. Appointments and test results were delayed. Their radiology machines, their X-ray machines couldn't work. And at this point, UHS, which has 90,000 employees, treats 3.5 million patients a year, says that as a consequence, at least 4 patients died because they couldn't be treated and had to be rerouted to other facilities. It's not the first death. There was a death in Germany 2 weeks ago in a hospital situation where ransomware, in effect, killed a patient. This is just appalling. And then, of course, our last call, he called, and I hope you really, I really want to emphasize this. We get calls every single week from people who have tech support people come into their machines and put malware on the machine. Really important. Really important. If you're going to let a tech support person have access to your machine, it's just like you're saying, come here, have a seat, here's the passwords, do whatever you want. You've got to trust them 100%. Now, I feel bad because our caller had called his internet service provider, Spectrum. I hope you called from a legitimate source. You know, the problem is if it's from an email or a web page that looks like the Spectrum web page, but it isn't. Of course, it's not a legitimate source. So maybe look it up. Type in, spectrum.net and go to that website. Make sure you're on the right website before you make a phone call. But it is possible that he did call a legitimate number and that the Spectrum tech support person was doing a little moonlighting on the side and gave him the number of malware scam artists who then broke into his machine. It has happened before. It does happen. If you're sure you called Spectrum, you need to call them immediately because that employee is doing that to other people. You need to get that guy put in jail. Not fired, put in jail. And we need to be very, very aggressive in prosecuting ransomware and malware authors. These guys are running rampant. But just, again, the bottom line, if you're going to let somebody, and that should be a big red flag. If you're talking to tech support guys, he says, well, I'd like to get into your computer. I could fix it. Now, that's legitimate in many cases. That's legitimate. But you better trust them 100% because at that point, anything goes. They have full access to your system. The fact that your outbound mail is not working tells me 100% that guy screwed up your system, probably put malware on it. He wasn't very good because the best people, the best bad guys, will do it in such a way that you have no idea. Your email works fine. Everything works fine. They don't want to set up any red flags. They want to put their stuff on your system where it operates quietly in the background without your noticing as long as possible, right? You now know there's something wrong, and so you're going to do something that probably the only thing you can do, which is wipe your hard drive and start over. Because it's very hard. You just don't know what he did. You could go out and get anti-malware tools. And I've seen people recommend this, and if you go to the Geek Squad, they'll probably do this. They download things like Malware Bytes, and they go, oh, it's all clean, and they clean it up. And you go home, and it isn't all clean because there is no fix-it tool that is 100%. And if you have somebody sophisticated on your machine, there's all sorts of things they can do that cannot be detected and removed except by wiping Windows. And even then, there's things they can do if they're really good. If they work for a 3-letter spy agency, for instance, that you can't even fix. But I'm hoping that's not the case. This guy wasn't that good, or he wouldn't have broken your outbound email. What he was trying to do, incidentally, almost certainly was redirect your outbound email service so that he could use it to sell it as a spam server. And probably what they do is they get 100 different machines. They put them on a command and control center, usually in a chat room, and they can use those machines to send emails. See, if you're a spammer, it's getting harder and harder for you to find places that will send out your mail. So what you do is you hire a guy like this who will go into your people's systems or send out malware via email, or there are lots of ways to compromise a system, put some drive-by attacks on a website that basically takes those systems over so that they can use them to send out spam. The symptom you might notice is a lot of extra network activity or a lot of bounce-back emails. But usually, if they do it right, you won't even notice it. He clearly didn't do it right. Maybe you interrupted him. Sounds like you did in the middle of it. And thank goodness. Again, if you're if you're letting somebody access your computer, you better darn well be sure that they are 100% legit, because otherwise you're giving them the keys to the kingdom. 8888, ask Leo, the phone number. I'm sorry I didn't have more time to spend with you. We ran out of time, but at this point, when you've been compromised that seriously, you probably should wipe the hard drive and reinstall. And it's another reason I just don't think anybody should use Windows unless they absolutely know they need it. Maybe you have a program, AutoCAD or something you have to use for work that requires Windows, or if you're a gamer and you need Windows. But if you're going to use Windows at home without the protection of a very competent IT department, you now have a high responsibility to protect yourself. You are in a vulnerable situation. And I think unless you know you need Windows, you'd be much better off using something other than Windows. Mac, a little bit better. iPad, much better. Or a Chromebook, much better. These things are not as vulnerable. If you had been using a Chromebook, for instance, you wouldn't have had this problem because the guy couldn't have done anything to you. And if he did, there's a power wash tool that just wipes it out. Just what I'm telling you to do right now, in effect, wipes it out and starts over, but with a lot less hassle. Any general purpose operating system, and that includes Linux, Mac OS, and Windows, is open to this kind of attack, more open to this kind of attack, because general purpose is designed to let you, the user, do whatever you want. That's, the power of a general purpose operating system. Most people shouldn't have that kind of power. And if you do, if you insist, no, I got to have my Windows, well, then the burden's on you. You really have to become a security guru. You do. You just do. Or you will get bit. I hate to say it. I know people get very upset when I say friends don't let friends use Windows. But I'm serious. I'm serious about this. It's just a nightmare. Not to mention the problems Microsoft themselves are introducing. It's shameful. It really is. If you need to do it, and I know there are many people who do for work or they're gamers or whatever, if you absolutely have to have Windows, fine. But if it doesn't matter, don't choose Windows. That's just a mistake. It's kind of the default. Well, it's what I've always used. It's what we used at work. I see my friends using it. It shouldn't be the default anymore. It's just a bad default. It really is. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888, ask Leo, the phone number. Line 3, Elizabeth in Rancho Mirage, California. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, Leo. In addition to my aspiration to learn and understand the tech talk and Scott's laughter, I tuned in for your mojo I discovered today.
I got my mojo.
All right. Okay. Usually I call you from the dark ages. I think I've come a couple years forward and can ask a cohesive question.
Oh, boy.
I have a Dell Inspiron 14. Mm-hmm. And after crashing, I can't access it at all because I disabled the mouse pad because it makes me crazy. And I attached a wired mouse.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
Sometimes it was working, and then it wouldn't, and it would say the USB device is not recognized. And I keep getting the message that it needs more storage. And I don't know why, but somewhere I got the message. I'm reluctant to update, so that's another problem. And I'm wondering
Microsoft's going to make you do that. Yeah.
That's what I figured. It's like not cooperating because neither am I.
Well, it's not cooperating because it sounds like your hard drive's full.
Well, it's a very small one. I think I've heard on your show. It's 2 gig, and it was like 0.91.
When did you buy this? When did you buy this Inspiron?
Well, it was gifted to me a few years ago, and
nice.
it sat, and it's what I have. And I know I've heard you talk about solid-state drives as opposed to spinners, but I was going to buy an external hard drive, but I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know how expensive. I don't know what kind to buy, et cetera.
Here's what I would. I mean, Okay, any computer that came with 2 gigs is probably something around 20 years old.
No.
No?
It has Windows 10 on it.
Well, that doesn't mean it's not 20 years old. It's a Dell Inspiron. Are you sure it's 2 gigs? Because that really is very scant.
Celeron processor, 2 gigs of memory, Windows 10, 32 gig hard drive.
So it was upgraded to Windows 10. It probably almost certainly came with XP, but that doesn't mean you can't upgrade it.
Okay.
The question is, you could definitely help yourself by replacing the hard drive, but the question is it worth replacing the hard drive? Do you know how much RAM is in that thing?
I don't.
Yeah, they came with the one I'm looking at. Well, it's hard to say when this came out. Maybe it's 2 gigs of RAM, and it's a bigger hard drive.
Oh, I'll tell you what. When I got it, I wrote a file, and I wrote it's 3000 series model, blah, 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 14-inch, Intel Celeron. I wrote all this info, and so I'm sure I either copied it out of the paperwork or off the screen at the time when I could access the screen.
I'm sure the hard drive's bigger than that. 2 gigs is not enough to run Windows at this point. For instance, the new Windows update requires 6 gigabytes free space. You could never do that. So it's got to be bigger than that, but it's probably not very big. 2 gigs sounds like your amount of RAM. So there's a difference between RAM and storage. RAM is that fast memory that the program runs in. 2 gigs is very scant. The hard drive storage is probably not that big. I'm not surprised you're having problems. This is an older computer, and it cannot be updated almost certainly. And there's a couple of choices you have at this point. How much of a geek do you feel like?
Depends. What do you want me to do?
Well, the best thing to do, if you had the money, Elizabeth, and it's really up to you, would be to go out and get a Chromebook. About $300 or $400, and you would all your troubles would go away. What do you do on this thing? You surf the net, you buy things, you check your email, anything else?
Right. That's all I've done so far. I had Office 365 on it, and that's expired, and so I don't have a word processing program, so I end up going from my old desktop, which is Windows XP, to the laptop and, reconnecting the printer and the this and that, depending on what I'm doing. It's a pain.
It sounds like a pain. So if you can figure out how to get, go to Amazon and look at their Chromebooks. You could do some good choices. If you had the money, I'd get an Acer Spin. Those are the nicest Chromebooks made right now, and they're around $400. That's about what that computer cost when it came out. But it'll last you longer, and it's much more secure. It's going to run. You're not going to have these problems, and it'll do all the things you're doing right now.
Okay. And as far as word processing, I have to buy software and install it on that?
No. Because one of the things about Chromebooks, you don't install software on them. The idea is it's a cloud. You have internet access, I presume.
Yes, Wi-Fi.
Okay. It's a cloud device. You need Wi-Fi, but you could use, it kind of prefers Google stuff. It's a Google operating system, so you could use Google's word processor, Google Docs. You could use their spreadsheet. All of that's free. The nice thing about that is it stores your data in the cloud, so it's safe. It's automatic. It's basically backed up to begin with. If you wanted to, you could also use Microsoft's web-based Office for free, which would be very much like what you're used to with Word and Excel and all that stuff. So that's also usable on that Chromebook. But you don't need to buy software that you run on it. So that's actually a savings, I think.
Okay.
I know I'm throwing you a curveball here. To save this computer, you'd probably need to. It's not savable. It's too old. It's got not enough RAM. It needs a new hard drive. It cannot be upgraded. It's probably unsafe to use at this point because even though you've got Windows 10 on it, you have an old version of Windows 10 which cannot be upgraded. So I think at this point, it's an unsafe computer to use. Your desktop is too because it's running XP.
Yeah, I know.
I want you to use something safe and reliable that you won't have these problems with. And if you can spend $500 to get a Chromebook, I would. They go as low as $250, but as usual, you save a lot of money. Sometimes it's a false economy because it's kind of a little chintzy. But if you got an Acer Spin, I think you'd be very, very happy.
Can you contrast? You said $400 originally for the Acer Spin, and then you mentioned $500.
Well, it just depends. If you go to Amazon, you can search for Chromebooks, and you can pick one that matches your price point. There's a wide range of prices. They're less though than Windows machines. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Let me just do some shopping for you here. So I'm on Amazon.
I just wondered if it offered so much more that it was worth trying to scrape up the extra 100.
Oh, I see. No. If money's tight, you can get for $334 the Spin 311. Very nice. It's an 11-inch screen, so it's going to be a little smaller than your current screen. They do make bigger screens, 15-inch screens. The problem with Chromebooks, they are cheaper because you don't pay for the Windows, experience. You don't have to buy software and all of that stuff. So it's going to, in the long run, it's going to save you money. Lenovo makes good Chromebooks. Google themselves makes good Chromebooks. My current favorite is the more recent Acer Spin Chromebooks, and they range in price.
Is there a way for me to still use my big screen? I have a great Sony monitor. It's like 19,
Sure.
I think it is.
The problem with it is, I bet you that monitor does it have an HDMI port, or is it really old?
I don't know what an HDMI port is. Sorry.
So the Chromebooks, you could drive, you can get a Chromebook with an HDMI connector, but I bet you that monitor does not use HDMI. It uses an older standard. So you'd have to get an adapter for the cable. But yes, you could use the 19-inch Sony with it.
Okay. All right. Well, at least I feel like I had an intelligent conversation with you.
Oh, Elizabeth. The problem is that thing is so old. I would hate to put money into it with a replace. You need a new hard drive, and even then, you don't have enough RAM.
Yeah, I hear you, and I guess I expected that answer.
I wish you would end up spending $300 just to get it upgraded.
Yeah.
So I'm saying instead of doing that, get a new computer for $300.
And that's assuming I could do the work. That's not counting having.
Right. You got to pay somebody. It's going to cost you a lot more than the computer's worth, frankly.
Yeah.
So and I think once you get a Chromebook now, there's going to be a little adjustment period, but it's so much more secure. You don't have to worry about viruses. You don't have to, and you never will lose data. You have to change your habits because you have to be online with it, and you don't want to save documents onto the internal hard drive as much. You want to use, it comes with Google Drive storage, so you store everything in the cloud, but that's a better way to do it.
Is it a quickie thing, like if I create a document and then immediately save it to the cloud? Is that easy enough to do so that I don't have to worry about it?
You don't even have to think about it. It's automatically saved to the cloud.
Oh, wow.
You could try it right now on your browser if you go to, do you have a Google account, a Gmail account?
I do.
Yeah. So just go to docs.google.com. You could try the Google Docs, and you'll see it looks a little different, but it will let you. There's a word you can start in a word processor and everything, and you don't even have to think about saving it. It just saves. We use it for work. We use it for everything we do.
Okay. You're awesome. You got big time mojo.
Elizabeth, you're great. I always like hearing from you, and you're getting geekier by the minute.
I'm trying.
And now tell me about your mouse issue. I think that'll go away as well. Now, these Chromebooks do have trackpads, but they can use any mouse, so you can plug your mouse into it.
Okay. Super. Thank you so much again.
Let me know. Call me back. Tell me if I made the wrong choice for you.
I don't think you did. I've heard you give that advice many times to many people, and you've even given it to me before, but, money's the object, so...
I completely understand. It's tough right now.
Yeah.
And you could continue to use the Inspiron, but it's not going to get better.
No, I can't. I just can't access it because I disabled my mouse pad, and I can't use the wired mouse to get back in to undisable it.
There's probably a keyboard... look in your keyboard. There might be a keyboard thing you can do to re-enable it.
Okay.
All right.
Great. Thank you.
Take care, Elizabeth. All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
He's been everywhere, man. He's Johnny Jet, our travel guru. We love the Johnny because he's a memory of the way things used to be back in the old days when you could get on an airplane and fly to any country in the world. JohnnyJet.com.
I did have my first hotel stay this week.
Oh, my God. Tell me all about it, Johnny. I'm watching with great interest. Actually, you told me last week about Hawaii. They're opening up in about 2 weeks. Yep. And I'm going to watch. I won't be the first person on that Hawaiian airplane, but maybe in December.
It's October 15th. Hawaii opens up. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. I probably recommend people waiting a little bit to
just see.
Let them test it out.
Yeah, just see how it goes. But I figure if I get a condo on the beach, I'm not going to go to any restaurants, get takeout food, spend time in the great outdoors. That's probably safe.
Well, the big amenity that everyone's offering right now, or everyone is scrambling to get, airlines, airports, destinations, is this rapid COVID accurate testing.
Right.
Some of them.
You saw how well that's worked in the White House, however.
Well, I was just about to mention that. I mean, that definitely took a huge hit because Donald Trump is in the biggest bubble of the world, and for him to contract COVID, it just makes you like, scary. Wow. I mean, he's getting tested daily.
Yeah.
So, a lot of these destinations are offering 72 hours in advance. You have to have a test. But in 72 hours, a lot can happen. So it's not going to make people feel that comfortable until they make you do it, right at the airport.
Even then, this is one of the things we've learned by this very sad and scary White House problem is these people are being tested all the time, and you can pass a test one day and be sick, and then the next day infect people. And
exactly. So that's
concerning.
That's the challenge right now, and that's one reason why I have not got on a plane. I mean, I just don't trust the person next to me. But I did go on my first hotel stay. My wife, her birthday was last week, and she wanted to go to one of her favorite hotels nearby, which is the Lido House in Newport. Full disclosure, they gave us a media rate. But it was just like, it just felt completely, I was really worried. I got to tell you, I was worried.
Yeah.
And when I went into the lobby, I was like, I'm going to scout it out before I check in. And you know what? They were doing it right. They had the masks on. It's a Marriott hotel, autograph collection. And they had a plexiglass. They had a table in between, so I could not even get close to the person. And it felt great. Most people were wearing masks, and it was a nice getaway. And I think that's what people are going to be doing, especially for Thanksgiving coming up. And the CDC just came out and said, we recommend a virtual Thanksgiving, and it's not obviously, but of course, right after I just updated my 10 ways to find cheap flights for Thanksgiving post. But if you are going to fly for Thanksgiving, the time to buy is now because flights are cheap. They are slowly creeping up. When I priced out fares 2 weeks ago, they were cheaper than they are right now that I just priced out a minute ago. So, I would definitely use caution. Wear the mask. They all say masks are the best way to protect yourself, and it's not a political thing. It's a smart thing.
Of course, here in California, it's not just the masks, it's the fires. And, my wife and I were going to do our first hotel stay a few weeks ago at one of our favorite places in Napa, the Calistoga Ranch. When we got there, they said, you got to turn around. We're being evacuated. It survived that fire, but there's been another fire up the road a piece from us, the glass fire. And the last I've heard, sadly, Calistoga Ranch was destroyed by that fire. So
was it destroyed?
It was certainly damaged.
I knew one of them.
The reception building is burnt down as far as I can tell. Nobody can go in there. That's the problem. So I won't really know until people go in there. But some people have snuck in and shot video, and it doesn't look good. So this is where we got married. It is somewhere we go every year on our anniversary. It is one of the nicest hotels I've ever stayed at, and I hope it's okay. And I know the people who own it, the Auberge Resort people, will do their best to rebuild it. But that's another problem, isn't it?
Well, in California for sure.
Yeah.
And
there's hurricanes on the East Coast. There's fires out here.
And did I hear you say you went to Big Sur, or you're going to Big Sur?
We're thinking maybe Big Sur, but after that, I'm reluctant. I'm just reluctant.
Well, if people are going to fly, I did write a post on how to track airfares. I updated it, and I learned a lot because I used to tell people to go to Yapta. That site is no longer there. Hipmunk is no longer there.
Oy.
So there's websites that will do it for free. So when you price out, you can go to Kayak, Google Flights, Fare Compare. I have a whole list of them. I'll put it in the chat room. I'll tweet it out.
They don't have every fare, though. For instance, I think Southwest is not on Kayak, right?
Well, Southwest is definitely not on there. The only way you can find Southwest, and that's one of my tips, by the way, is you have to go to southwest.com to search their fares. And keep in mind that Southwest does include 2 free checked bags, which is $160 round trip if you're checking 2 bags. But they do, include that in the fare. So their fares are not always the cheapest. So consider that when you're flying. But, I used to spend hours. I'm talking hours just pricing out flights. And now, I use these, I use these flight trackers where I can sign up for fare alerts and see if the prices dip, although I'm not flying a lot now, but I still have some on there. I have a ticket to Toronto for Christmas, and then we always go to Hawaii for New Year's, but that's not going to happen this year. Most likely.
Can you even get into Canada?
I can because my wife's Canadian, but that's only reason why I can. Americans can. And there's a lot of talk about trying to open it up. I just don't think Canadians want us, and I don't blame them. We have a lot of COVID here, as you can tell, and it's running rampant right now. But it'll be interesting to see what goes on with Hawaii. A lot of the hotels are going to open up in mid-November. I know that the Disney hotel, the Iolani, is opening up, I think, mid-November. I mean, obviously, most of them are going to be open when they reopen October 15th. I'm thinking,
one of the nice things about Hawaii is they have a lot of condos. You can just rent a condo instead of a hotel. And
Ken, you got to make sure they're legal because
really?
They had a lot of problems with illegal Airbnbs and things like that. So make sure. It's always changing, and I haven't done any research lately to find out which ones are not.
I thought that would be a little safer than going to a hotel.
That is the way to go. I mean,
yeah, because then we can cook our own food. It's not as much of a vacation, but hey, we're in Hawaii.
No, I think it's more of a vacation. It's more of a local vacation.
Yeah.
When you and actually the hotel we stayed at, the Lido House, they gave us a cottage, so we had a kitchen,
nice.
a living room.
Yeah.
And my son hasn't been this happy in months, and he started crying when I said we got to go home.
Oh, he knew even. No, he's only 1, right?
No, my son's 4.
Oh, your son is 4.
My daughter's 1.
Your daughter's 1. So he's old enough to know that he's been stuck at home all year.
Yeah, my son has been on 70 flights in 2 years.
Oh, he's a world traveler, and he's been grounded.
But he hasn't been on a plane in over a year.
Does he miss it?
Yeah, he does.
He likes to travel.
Loves it. So, I mean, and this was his first time in a hotel since
Johnny
March.
Jet Jr.
Yeah. By the way,
15 years, he's gonna be taking over from Dad.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
I started following Steve Martin on Twitter a few weeks ago, and sure enough, this week I saw a tweet to you. I don't know if you saw it, but he was like, "Leo, I can't live without you. Not even a minute.
How could I have missed
romantic.
this? My dear friend Steve Martin tweeted me.
Yeah, it was awesome. I responded to him. I said, we all love Leo.
Oh.
And I tried to get him on my podcast, but he didn't respond. And I don't blame him.
Well, they just did a 30-minute COVID remake.
I watched it.
Parenthood. Was it good?
Not Parenthood. It was
Father of the Bride. I'm sorry.
Yes, Father of the Bride Part 3.
It looked great. I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but it looked really fun.
Yeah, it was my wife.
Steve talked about putting on a lot of sweatshirts to try him on for the director and everything. That sounds really cool. That's Johnny Jet, johnnyjet.com. I've got a tweet to respond to. Thank you, Johnny.
Yes, you later.
What? How could I have missed this? Now he's going to think I'm ignoring him.
Yeah, that was a good 3 or 4 days ago.
Oh, I need you every day,
Steve
every minute.
Martin?
This is not romantic. Oh, thank you for responding. Oh, where'd he get that picture? Oh, this is funny.
Well, retweet it. I want to see your tweet.
I have to think of what I'm going to say. I feel so bad. This is the problem. I don't know if you experience this, but when you have a friend who's funny and you're not, I always feel like, I need to try. I need to be funny.
You know, it is romantic for me.
What do you mean it's not romantic? Don't you remember our weekend in San Diego? That's the response, isn't it? How could you forget, Steve? He listens to the podcast. He's a very sweet guy. He really is amazing.
You told me one time that he mentioned me at a dinner, and I was like, Steve Martin knows my name?
Yeah. He's probably listening right now. Steve, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to ignore you.
I got to get
I sent him a note on his birthday in August, and he was, his 75th birthday was August, so I sent him a note then. But
well, they did a nice job on that.
I didn't even know he was still on Twitter.
Yes, he's a funny guy, obviously. I mean, he is, he's one of the originals.
Look at him, the wealth of pigeons. Yeah, he's great. I guess he's still...
he's 75, August 14th.
Yeah, he just had his birthday, 75th.
He's from Waco, Texas.
That's hysterical. Yeah, he's Texan. That's why when he was in the long... Billy, the long walk of Billy, what's his name? He had played a Texas football coach. And he did such a good job because he said, though, the accent, he wasn't sure he could do the accent. And I said, Steve, you're from Texas. I go backward. I went the wrong way. New cartoon collection. Huh. He's amazing. He's just so talented. But that's the thing. I'm always scared of responding to him because I don't have. It's like, so I have to think of something funny. I need comedy writers.
Yeah. Well,
that's nice. And then there's your response. And then here's a picture of us.
That's awesome. He tweeted that? Or no?
No, I don't remember where that came from. You could cut the tension. I think he might have posted that one.
That's awesome.
Because I wouldn't know. He's so serious. All right. I'm all giddy. I got to respond.
All right. Well, I'll let you respond, and I hope you have a great week.
He is a funny guy. All right. I can't believe I missed it. Oh, because you know why I missed it? He didn't put at Leo Laporte in there.
There you go.
I am following him, but if you don't,
I just happened to see his tweet.
Yeah.
It was good timing.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo the phone number. On we go with the show to Murray in Tustin. Hello, Murray.
Hello, Leo.
Thanks for hanging on.
My pleasure. About a year ago, or maybe even more, you mentioned that the dialogue in modern TV shows is recorded with some different technology.
Yes.
So that it's much more difficult to understand. And I think you made reference to a remedy. Do you remember?
I do remember very well because I, too, sometimes have a hard time understanding dialogue in TV shows. I think we all do. It's not even an age thing anymore. The reason is a lot of TV shows, certainly all movies nowadays, are mixed for surround sound, 5.1. And the assumption is in this mix that you will have a dedicated channel for dialogue, the so-called center channel. So if you have a surround sound system, you'll have left and right speakers, kind of standard stereo speakers. You'll have maybe a subwoofer for the bass, the rumbly. You'll have surround speakers, which are kind of at ear level on their left and right. But you'll also have either above or below the TV, right in the center, a center channel speaker. And that is where, if they've mixed it surround, all the dialogue goes. And in most systems, if you have surround sound, you can independently control the volume of the center channel and bring it up. Now, here's the problem. If you're listening on a regular TV or you're listening on a stereo and it's encoded for surround sound and it thinks it's in surround sound, but it's not, that center channel speaker is gone. It's all mixed in with everything else, and it's very hard to hear the dialogue. Yeah. So it's just a mess. So sometimes there are settings. The first thing I would do is check on your TV or however. Are you using a sound bar? What are you using?
No, nothing.
Just the TV speakers?
Yes.
Okay, make sure that the TV, which is almost certainly, because every streaming device, even your cable box nowadays, will understand surround. Make sure your TV isn't interpreting it as surround sound. That will help, because if it is, then you're not going to hear anything. You can get a sound bar that will improve the quality of the sound, and will also have, the sound bars are fairly inexpensive. They aren't even, you don't have to have them all around you. They're just a set of speakers in a bar that are above and below below the TV. And that will also allow you to boost the center channel. But the first thing I would do is check your TV settings, look in the audio settings, turn off any Dolby decoding or DTS or any surround sound in there. If you have a setting that says, sometimes it says boost vocals, sometimes it says boost center channel, you may have a setting that'll help with that. It's a big problem these days, and the best solution is to capitulate and buy something that'll give you surround sound so that you can hear everything. And sound bars, the good news is sound bars aren't horribly expensive. And they will massively improve the quality. It'll make it more intelligible in general anyway. I think, I'm trying to remember which soundbar Scott Wilkinson likes. I think he likes the Vizio, Vizio. You could price those. You don't need the extra speakers. You just need the soundbar. And what these are, typically they'll have from 4 to 16 speakers in this bar, and they will then take the audio. How do you get the picture into your TV? Are you taking it from a cable box or?
No.
Antenna?
Prehistoric, antenna.
Okay, well then you may not be getting encoded sound. It may just be hard to hear. And one of the reasons I got hearing aids is because it is harder to hear this. It's not so much harder to hear; it's harder to decode speech. And so the way hearing aids typically work is they boost those frequencies where speech is to make it more intelligible. And there are also ways to do that with equalization in your TV, or maybe get a pair of headphones to wear with the TV. And I have to say, I don't want to be that old guy. My dad, as he got older and got more deaf, kept accusing me of mumbling. I said, Dad, I'm a professional radio announcer. I do not mumble. But maybe I was. And I don't want to be like my dad, but I think actors today mumble a little more than they used to.
Oh, yeah. Well, they speak as if they're about 2 inches away from each other.
Yeah. And I think that's also a stylistic thing. And some of it is because directors know, well, in most cases, there'll be center channel and you'll be able to hear it. But when it's mixed all together in one big mush thing, and if you're just watching your TV, there's probably 1, maybe 2 speakers. It's all mushed into that speaker. Yeah, there's not anything to distinguish that voice. If you have an equalizer, that might help you boost the mid-range. So I'm looking, Swamp Rat says local affiliates, NBC, ABC, CBS, and Fox, all are doing Dolby Digital Audio. So they are all sending out potentially surround sound. So your over-the-air channels are now 5.1. If you have a smart TV, it might be recognizing that and saying,
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
I think then it's just a question of modern times, the way they're mixing it, and the way... Remember Marlon Brando? They used to say, Marlon Brando mumbles. You can't understand.
Well, yeah, he did.
He did. He was very naturalistic.
Old shows.
He was using the method, right? He was like embodying the character, but he was always talking like this. You don't understand the thing he was saying. So it could just be that.
You don't have that problem with the old TV shows and the old
because
movies.
Darn him, Andy Griffith spoke clearly and precisely. And I remember my teacher when I was in school saying, I love that Harry Belafonte. You can understand every word. These modern rockers, you just can't understand. When Linda Ronstadt wanted to record the Rolling Stones song Tumbling Dice, no one could tell her what the lyrics were. She actually had to go to Mick Jagger and say, Mick, what are you saying? He had to write it out for her so that for the first time ever, when Linda Ronstadt sang it, we could hear the lyrics. So that's maybe this is just a modern thing. So I would say if you can improve your TV sound, that will help the best. Get a sound bar. Honestly, if you're still listening to the TV sound through the TV speakers, nowadays when there are even many TVs don't have speakers. The speakers are there because, well, if you don't have anything else, I guess you could listen to these speakers, but they don't put any money into them. They assume anybody who's buying a TV today, well, at least has external speakers or a sound bar. So,
well, I'll check out the video, Leo.
Yep, I think you'll like it. I think you're going to say, "Hey, I can hear everything." And what they're doing, which is really interesting, is using binaural technology, computer synthesis, to take the sound that's coming out of a limited number of speakers all in front of you and make it sound like they're coming from the side and above and below, and there's left and there's right. And it's really kind of remarkable. They're even building this kind of spatial sound now, and Apple's AirPod Pros do this. And there's an example. You got a left ear and a right ear. That's all you've got. How could somebody be coming from my front left, somebody from my front right, somebody from my rear left and rear? How do they do that? And it's all sophisticated computer simulation. I suspect we're seeing more of that too. Probably worth getting a soundbar. You're saving. Think of all the money you're saving by using an antenna and watching over the air. You know, that's pretty nice. I do like that feature somebody's mentioning. You have this on the Apple TV and the Roku. On the Apple TV, I could say, "Hey, you know who? What did she just say?" And it will skip back 15 seconds and turn on the subtitles. I use that a lot. Thanks for the call, Marie. It's nice to talk to you on our show today. What did he just say? Have you ever used that feature? Oh, it's such a nice feature. What was that? I use that. My poor wife. Well, hey. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers. The internet. I'm trying to remember. Apple Watches, Spectrum Wi-Fi, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Used to be a lot of VR talk. I was never sold on VR. Now it seems to be taking a turn for the worse. Google just announced, we're killing our Daydream project. This was the idea was that, remember the Google Cardboard? They put out a little foldable cardboard thing that you could put your Android phone in, and then it would give you kind of 3D travel logs, kind of like a Viewmaster almost, except it was VR. It was virtual reality, just inexpensive. And then Daydream was their attempt to kind of make this a little bit more of a product by selling some visors, but inexpensively. You put your phone in it. Flopperoo, I guess, because Google's killed it now. Of course, Google kills stuff just because they lost interest frequently. Facebook's continuing with its, Oculus Quest, although I'm not thrilled by the fact that you have to have a Facebook account to use it. I kind of want to opt out of that. That doesn't feel right to me. HTC still makes their Vive. My 17-year-old loves it. He plays it all the time. Well, actually, let me think about that. I haven't seen him in there in a while. Maybe he's grown tired of it. I know people still love VR, but I think maybe VR, like 3D TV, was kind of a flash in the pan. Is that possible? 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. We go back to the phones, line 4. Judy in Downey, California. Hello, Judy.
Hi, Leo. Thank you for taking my call. I appreciate that.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for calling. It's getting kind of lonely, frankly.
I'm having a lot of trouble getting the documents off a flash drive that I have.
Uh-oh.
And I know, I hear your spots, and I didn't have a backup.
Oh, okay.
Unless I have iCloud. Are they automatically saved there?
Well, they were saved there if they were on an iPhone, if you had that turned on, or your Mac. They aren't being saved from the flash drive. Are you on a Mac or an iPhone?
No. I was on a PC.
Yeah, and I don't think iCloud. These cloud backups will work. Are they photos that's on the flash drive?
No, it's documents. It's stories I've written.
Oh,
I'm
no.
a writer. I know.
No.
So,
did you write them in Microsoft Word?
Yeah.
Okay, there is a hope. It's not iCloud. That's the Apple solution. OneDrive might have it.
Oh, really?
By default, Microsoft saves Word documents to the cloud. Unless you changed it, you may. So if you, I think it's automatic if you have Windows, but log into your OneDrive account.
Okay.
And just check. I'm crossing my fingers. Because that's cloud backup, right? And it's kind of automatic. But once you've got a damaged flash drive, and they do die, by the way. This is not unusual. My son had a similar problem with his camera. He was shooting videos on his Sony camera. And the last video, he can play it back on the camera, but he can't get it off on the computer. And I think, I'll tell you exactly the stuff I told him, because I think that means either the flash drive, in his case an SD card, has failed, or the files weren't properly closed. When you put that flash drive in, does it show up on the computer?
When it lists the drives, it'll list that drive, but it won't list any documents.
It looks like an empty drive.
Yeah.
Can you open it in the File Explorer and have a window that has ostensibly the drive contents on it, or does it not open?
I haven't tried it with File Explorer.
Well, that's the Windows default. It's just, you open it up. So if it shows up as the C drive or the D drive, and you double click it, does it open?
No. You know what happens? We get two different responses. We've tried it on different computers in the house, and also I took it to the Geek Squad on their computer. But what it does is there's the green progress bar at the top, and it'll show that it's trying to download, trying to download, and then it doesn't go all the way to the end.
Yeah, it's failing.
That's one thing we get. Another thing is that the screen kind of flashes bright, like a white, a little bit, and it's not grayed out, but it's just you can't. Well, I guess it is because you can't click on anything.
Yeah. So do you see files in that white screen, or nothing at all? It's just an empty white screen.
No, there are files.
Okay.
There.
So that's the question. So you are able to open it. You're just not able to get the files off of it. Actually, that's a very good sign. You're more likely to be able to recover the data from that. Something's wrong with the drive. Definitely. If you can get the files off it, never use it again. Throw it out. Once flash memory goes bad, there's no way to fix it permanently. There are a number of programs you can use to try to get it back. I'm going to give you a few of them. Now, the thing to understand, I'm sorry that you already brought it to the Geek Squad, because every attempt to recover it has the potential of making it worse or ultimately unrecoverable. So you got to be very careful. If you're the people who do this for forensics, will make a image copy of the drive and then work on the image copy. They won't work on the original. There's a program from CCleaner called Recover. It's like Recover, but more jocular. RECUVA, Recover. And they have a free version that will at least give you an idea of how much it can recover. A lot of these recovery tools are free until you want to get something back, and they say, well, we can see it, we can recover it, but it'll be $50, please. That's one to try. Ease US also makes a recovery program, and that's free in theory. So that's another one. And then there's one I've recommended before that's a German company, and this one is free. And probably the first one I'd start with. It's called PC Inspector. It's from pcinspector.de. And all three of these are what we call file recovery tools. They all work roughly the same. they'll try to read the drive in a variety of non-standard ways that Windows isn't trying to get that data back. Windows is reliant on, for instance, a catalog that says what's on the drive. It sounds like it can see the catalog, but it can't read the files. But these programs ignore the catalog, try to read the parts of the drive. They actually go through sector by sector through the drive and get whatever's on there and then reassemble it later. PC Inspector is a very good tool. I would start with that one. They also have one for smart cards called Smart Recovery. This is pcinspector.de. You download it and you run it. You'll mount the drive and it'll attempt to recover what's on that drive. And it's absolutely free. And then if not, EaseUS. It's worth trying a few different things. The first one, though, is the most important because, as I said, sometimes this process, what you don't want to do on any of these, and I hope the Geek Squad didn't do this, is say, recover the drive. What you want to do is copy what's on the drive onto your computer and not modify the bad flash drive in any way. Any modification you make to it will jeopardize the chance of getting that data back.
Okay.
So the free one is PC Inspector. There are charges for Recover and EaseUS, but they're data recovery wizard. But both of them offer trials that will say, "Oh yeah, I can get this. Pay up." I'm not a fan of that.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of that. That's why I recommend PC Inspector. Okay.
Okay.
Good luck.
So much,
Knock on wood. You know what? You're going to back up from now on, aren't you?
Guess what? I sure am.
Yeah. I have a friend who's a novelist, very well known. You'd know her name. Lost her home, this is about 20 years ago, in the Oakland Hills fire. She had a novel, lost it too. Whole thing gone up in smoke. So you got to remember, not only make a copy, but make a copy somewhere else. Even if you just have to print those stories out and take them somewhere or mail them somewhere, back up. I'm not scolding you in any means. I feel for you. I'm just telling you to keep this in mind, that you not only want to have a local backup, you want to get one off-site as well.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Good luck. I hope you get them back.
Thank you.
I'm with you, Judy. We don't want to lose that great short story. Ugh. $8888 Ask Leo. The phone number, Dick DeBartolo, Mad's Maddest Writer, coming up in just a little bit. Gloria is on the line from Pacoima, California. Hello, Gloria.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you. I've got a problem. I can't hear my phone good when I'm watching a show. I don't do television. I just use a phone, and my Pixel 2, I'm not happy with the audio.
Was it that way from the beginning, or has it gotten worse?
No, it's pretty much depending on what I'm looking at. Your audio comes across beautifully.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
Yeah, which they all did. Like I'm watching a Disney show like Mandalorian.
Yeah.
It was horrible. And so why is this? They're producing a show. You should be able
This may be related to what we were talking about earlier, where, our show is, I guess it's stereo, but it's really not mixed for anything but a single monaural voice. And radio is usually compressed to such a degree that there isn't much variation in volume. So there aren't very quiet things, very loud things. But something like The Mandalorian is probably mixed for surround sound and with a broader dynamic range, so the quiet stuff's quiet. This bothers me. I will be watching, I remember it happened to me with Batman Forever, and they're talking quietly, so, Batman talks like that. So I'm turning up Batman, and then there's an explosion, and it's like there really is an explosion in the house, though everything's shaking, and that's because they have such a broad dynamic range. And, they're mixed for theaters and so forth. And your phone speakers are not designed really to do that. So there's a variety of things you can do. You can get a better speaker. Even a phone as old as your Pixel 2 has Bluetooth support. And there are very good Bluetooth speakers out there that will sound loud and clear and much more precise. You can even do stereo if you want. You can get 2 of them. So that's one easy solution, is to go out and get some speakers.
Well, I was looking to get a different phone because it's getting old.
It is, it is a little old. It's a few years old. But you're going to have that problem with any phone because there aren't many phones with good speakers, to be honest with you. They're just not that loud. And how about headphones? If you plugged headphones into your phone, that still has a headphone jack.
I just didn't want to put that much more money into it.
Headphones are cheap. You get them for $5 at the truck stop. You don't have to get inexpensive headphones will be a lot better, frankly.
But Leo, that would work with my Pixel 2.
Oh, wait a minute. Does it not have a headphone jack?
No.
Oh my gosh. That's terrible. No. So you're right. You'd have to spend some money on expensive Bluetooth headphones. A Bluetooth speaker is actually cheaper. Yeah, but you want to get a better phone. I understand. I want to. Here's the good news. If you get a new phone, most of the phones you get will come with headphones. So you'll at least solve that problem by getting a new phone. That's one solution. For instance, if you get the new Pixel, I would recommend the 4A.
Well, actually, I was hoping to get away from Google.
Okay.
Phones that were made outside of China, like Sony, LG, or Samsung, or
all excellent phones.
They are?
Yeah.
Fabulous. Do they have good video?
They do. I mean, no phone. Remember, you got to get all of that in a little container, and the speakers can't be very big. Plus, they only have these little holes on the bottom. So the speakers on a phone are never going to be as good as your headphones. But almost all LG, the Sony Xperias, the Samsung phones, almost all of them come with headphones in the box, so you could plug those in.
Well,
but all of them are more expensive than a TV, ironically. You can get a $200 TV, but your phone's going to be at least $500. I would look at the LG. Let's see. I can give you some choices. Actually, I would add one more name to it, which is Motorola. Motorola makes some very nice, inexpensive phones. They just came out with the G7. That's a very nice phone, $200. And and it's very nice. Or $300, depending on what features you get. I would also look at the Motorola Edge. That has a headphone jack and comes with headphones, so you can plug those in. LG makes some very nice phones too, but I'm a fan of the Motorola phones, partly because, like your Pixel, they don't modify Android. It's pretty much pure Android, which is very nice. Oh, but it's made in China. You don't want to buy a Chinese phone. I forgot. So you're right to go with either the South Korean companies, which are LG and Samsung, or the Japanese company Sony.
And what about Sony?
I think Sony has some very nice phones. Their newest is really great. I don't have it, but I've heard very good things about it. It's not cheap. Not cheap at all. But the latest, which is I think the Xperia 1-2, which is a confusing name, that's $1,200. You don't want that. So maybe you get the Xperia 5, which would probably be a good choice. And I'm sure those, just check to see if it comes with headphones. The 5-2 is also expensive, Mark II. Boy, they really charge a lot. Yeah, any of those would be fine. I think all of those work just fine. They're a little pricey. I'm kind of disappointed that Sony's charging so much for their phones. They don't make any money. Sony has been suffering for some years. In fact, the only thing that keeps Sony alive at this point is the insurance company they own in Japan. But in fact, I've always thought that they would at some point stop selling Xperia phones in the U.S. But their latest, people are very happy with them. If you want a deal, Samsung has some lower end choices as well. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I want to make sure Sony doesn't make their phones in China, though. That's the only. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes. I know Samsung does not, and I know LG does not. So For sure, those are made in South Korea. I don't have a Sony to hand, so I can't check. They're not made in China, says Dana. Okay, Dana. Thank you. Thank you. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo, the phone number. Thanks to our musical director, Professor Laura. Good job today, playing the hits. Let's go to line 3. Philip is on the line from Chino Hills, California. Hi, Philip.
Hi, Leo. How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. Originally from Cleveland, but been out here 40 years, so I'm staying here.
Yeah, I guess you are, aren't you? It's pretty nice out here.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a question about ExpressVPN.
All right.
I'm currently using an Acer Chromebook for about 3 or 4 years. It works excellent. And I'm thinking about getting the ExpressVPN, but I'm concerned about using my banking information on it. Is it safe to use ExpressVPN on an Acer Chromebook?
So first thing I must say is that they are a sponsor, and I'm a big fan, and I use them. So, but I don't do their tech support. So if you have tech support for any of our advertisers, it's always best to call them. But you can set up ExpressVPN on a Chromebook. And the thing to understand with any VPN, really important, there's 3 reasons one would use a VPN, a virtual private network. One, of course, is for security. So if you're on a wireless network, especially if you're in the public on an open Wi-Fi access point, there's other people on the network. Some of them may not be the nicest people. So it's always good to encrypt your traffic on the network. That's what a VPN does. That's one reason, security. The other reason is privacy. Whether you're on a mobile phone or you're on your home network, your internet service provider can see what you're doing, especially see what sites you're visiting, because you have to do that DNS query, and they get it, and they see it, and they log it, and in many cases, they sell it on to marketers. So people are concerned with privacy, also use VPNs. And then the third reason people use it is because they want to watch TV in other countries. With a VPN, you can be in any country. The endpoint of the VPN, the exit point where you go out of the VPN network, can be all over the world. And so if you want to, say, watch TV in the UK, your Netflix UK, you can do that. If you have a Netflix account in the US, you just log into that account, use ExpressVPN to kind of come out of the public internet in London, refresh your Netflix. It thinks you're in London. It goes, okay, well, let me show you what's in London. So those are the 3 reasons. Your concern sounds like is banking. So that's both security and privacy. With any VPN, the real issue is, who is that provider? Because we're not trusting the people on the network near us. We're not trusting our internet service provider, but we're pushing all that trust down the pipeline to the exit point, to the VPN provider. So if you're using a VPN provider that is not trustworthy, they can do all the things a bad guy would do. They can snoop on you. They can sell your marketing information and all of that. That's why I definitely recommend against. There are a lot of free VPNs, but it's not cheap to run a VPN. There's a reason it's free. They're getting something out of that. So almost always you want to pay for a VPN. Then to vet a VPN, you want to read their privacy policy. Make sure that, number one, they do no logging. They don't keep track of what you're doing, because if they don't log it, they can't sell it. And, of course, you want to read reviews to make sure they're trustworthy. And ideally, you'd find a VPN provider that brings in independent auditors to check their privacy policy, to make sure they don't do any of those nefarious things. So and this is kind of some of the burdens on you. You trust me, and I have checked ExpressVPN. That's why I do their ads, because I know they're okay. But that's kind of what happens. A VPN is really transferring that trust down the road, away from your internet service provider, away from the coffee shop, to the VPN provider. So it's really important when you choose a VPN. Don't do it by the number of ads you hear, by the recommendations of friends or geeks. You really got to read the fine print and ideally look for somebody that's been audited. The other thing with ExpressVPN, and I don't know if it's something to be proud of or not, but there have been a number of cases, Turkey is one, where the authorities just go in and get the servers because they're trying to figure out what a bad guy did. And this has happened to ExpressVPN in a number of situations, and the authorities there's nothing on the server. That's kind of an additional data point that they're not keeping track of what you're doing. That's really important. So you want to keep secure and private, and that means a certain amount of trust on the VPN provider. And it is sad to say that a lot of VPN providers are somewhat less than trustworthy. So you're right to be a little concerned. You know, you don't know me from Adam? I don't know if you.
I've been listening to you for 20 years.
Okay, I'm glad you trust me. I think that's a good one. Linux now has built-in WireGuard in the Linux kernel. That's an interesting way to go as well. But you're still going to have to find a provider. Firefox now offers a VPN. I think it's offering Mullvad, which is a commercial VPN provider. A lot of times, when a browser like Firefox offers VPN service, they're just a reseller. So it's, do you trust Firefox? Yeah, I trust Firefox. I presume they've vetted Mullvad to make sure that they're okay. So that, that you're looking for some assurance that this is this company you're going to do business with isn't going to do any of those things you're trying to avoid.
Everything I read said ExpressVPN is the best one for Chromebooks. So
I like it. I agree. The other thing you can do, and some people do this, is roll your own. Many routers will give you a VPN, but the problem is you're losing two of the three benefits. You no longer have the geographic benefit, and you're going out through your internet service provider so they can see what you're doing. The only real benefit is security at open Wi-Fi access points. But that's another option. Many routers will offer VPN, but it's going through your internet connection. So you're essentially going from the coffee shop to your home and then out into the world. At least you can trust that.
Fantastic.
Hey, stick with the ExpressVPN.
Yeah, I will.
I think they're a good company. I wouldn't recommend them if I didn't.
All right. Happy Halloween to you.
Hey, yeah. What's your costume going to be, Philip?
I don't know yet. I'm thinking maybe a priest. The world needs more of them.
We need more priests. Yeah, don't be one of them evil priests, though. Be a good priest, okay?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm Italian. That's how we are.
Yay. That's nice. I'm going to be Obi-Wan Kenobi. I got the outfit already. I gotta get the little pigtails in my hair. But other than that, I think I'm ready. And if I don't get a haircut soon, I'll be ready for the pigtails as well. 8888 Ask Leo. Dick DeBartolo's coming up. Got about a minute left. Let me see if I can get Jim in from Calabasas. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Leo.
Welcome.
Can you hear me okay?
Hear you great. What can I do for you?
Well, first of all, I'd like to compliment you on your encyclopedic knowledge of tech. I mean, it's amazing what...
Thank you. That's very kind of you.
And
you know what works? Terror. I have to come in here and answer questions. I better keep up. I'm scared. You'll catch me out, so ask me a good one.
Yes, up to date. I've got a ZTE cell phone that doesn't have any... It's only got 200 megabytes of extra storage space. And
you're running out.
I looked to uninstall software. It says, well, if you uninstall this, it can cause some bad interaction.
Yeah, they say that, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the case. For instance, I love my ZTE Axon, by the way. Great phone. ZTE is one of the two Chinese manufacturers. They and Huawei are both, I think Xiaomi as well, are both kind of frowned upon now by the U.S. State Department. I don't think there's anything wrong with the ZTE phones. I'd say if you like it. One thing you do is a factory reset and then judiciously reinstall the applications. You're trying to remove, your reason you're getting that warning, you're trying to remove an application that came with the phone. Sometimes things like Facebook, who cares? It's not going to break anything. But you want to pay attention to it. I would say get data back, reset the phone, and then judiciously reinstall your apps. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. If you're feeling down, You're feeling a little low. There's nothing like disco to pick up your spirits and make you go. Get it. Get it, Dick. Dick DeBartolo, Mad's maddest writer. It's true, isn't it? Disco cheers you up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel better already. Dick DeBartolo is Mad's maddest writer for more than 5 decades. He's been writing in Mad magazine. He's also a disco fool. He had his own disco boat for a while with a lit floor, a disco ball, and all the music and everything. He also, more importantly for all of us, is a gizmo wizard. We call him our Gizwiz. And each week he joins us with a gizmo or a gadget or something to share with us. What do you got? Hello, Dickie.
Well, you know what? I was reading Johnny Jett's column.
Yes.
Where he said he's adding an oximeter to his safety kit.
Yes.
And I looked online and I saw it lights up and has LEDs. I thought, I need that.
I got a blood oximeter early on. Yeah, early on because we, at the time, and this is the weird thing about COVID is that it's a novel virus. We don't really understand how it works. We're only starting to. But early on, they said one of the things, the indicators that you should hie-thee to a hospital right quick is, and you may not even feel too symptomatic, but if your blood oxygen starts to go below 90, that's a sign that your lung functioning is not good, and it's an early sign, and it could be a serious sign, so you should go to the doctor right away. So I got a blood oximeter just in case.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now with the new Apple Watch,
is it built in?
It's got, and there's been some comment about the blood oximeter, whether it's good or not. I think it actually is it works for me. It matches the results of my standalone blood oxygen meter. You have to kind of sit still and make sure the watch is on just right and all that stuff, but it gives you good results in about 15 seconds. In fact, while you're talking, I will check my blood oxygen.
Yeah.
And I'll let you know.
So I bought one of those, and I didn't even know what it should be. And I looked online, and it said anywhere from 95 to 100 is acceptable. So mine, when I took it earlier today, it was 96.
That's good. That's normal.
But also, I love knowing my pulse number because sometimes I sit in the chair and meditate to just see how low I can get.
Oh, how low can your pulse go?
Boy, I guess 49.
Holy cow. Holy moly.
But
that's
I love
good.
the
That's a
fact
sign
that
of good health. Or you're almost dead.
is-
One or the other.
This thing is so convenient with just one finger.
It does
and
both?
It was $33. It does both. It does it in a couple of seconds. It does it in portrait mode or landscape mode, depending which way your finger is pointing.
My finger is a landscape always.
Your finger always is landscape?
Yeah. No, wait a minute.
No, if you're holding your finger up, it'll do portrait mode.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So in a portrait, I usually have my hand in my shirt, but I could have it any way you want. And then it would measure.
So, you know what? I'm right now. My oxygen level is 97. What did
Very
yours come out
good.
to?
I don't know. My watch says it's time to stand up. No, it's it failed. It failed. So I'm going to do it again.
Failed. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I have to hold very still. This one goes on your
yes.
finger, just kind of like the pulse meter they'll put you on you at the hospital, like just on your clips on your finger.
Yeah, exactly, and it runs on 2 AAA batteries.
Oh my God! I'm going to the hospital. I'm only 92.
Oh my!
I gotta get out of here. Dick,
know what?
finish the show for me.
Take a couple of points from mine. I don't need
Can I have some of your blood oxygen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. You always put the blood oxygen meter on the person, on yourself, before you put it on your friends, I think is the rule.
Yeah. So anyway, the company says anywhere from 4 years up to adults. And so I bought the one that he recommended. He recommended Acumed. And so that's the one I bought.
Yeah, that's cheaper than the one I got. It was like $60, so that's good. Now, maybe that was because it was early on and they were scalping.
Probably, because now they're like...
they're getting better. Good.
There's a bunch of different ones on Amazon, but I figured what's good enough for Johnny is good enough for me. It's good enough for Dickie.
Good enough for Johnny. It's good enough for Dickie. This is the Acumed, and it is inexpensive. It's on Amazon. And Dick has all that information, including, did you make a video? No, you didn't make a video today.
No, well, that was my finger in it just before the show. I thought it's going to be a little high now because
does it go up when you're working?
Yeah, you know what? Actually, that's a good idea. Probably when I talk to you, I get excited. Let me just see.
Mine's not normally that low. I'm not sure I trust the Apple Watch. In fact, a number of reviewers have said,
you see, mine's
it's
a
not
little
that
high
accurate.
now. Mine's
high's
my
good.
Pulse.
Oh, your pulse. Yeah.
My pulse is 73. Oh, actually 71. Okay.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here's a couple of old guys talking about their ailments. Just what you're looking for on the radio. If you want to get a blood oximeter, that's what this world is coming to, isn't it? How you feeling? I'm okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And also, I noticed today a lot of the call is with hearing the TV set.
Yeah.
Well, that was good. That was a good thing I didn't realize is to check the TV to see if it's not
turn
set
off
to
that
some
special encoding.
18 speakers.
You don't
when
want
you're
that
listening
surround.
to.
No. Yeah. Dick's website has the information about the Acumed and everything he's ever talked about on this show, plus the shows he visits like ABC's World News Now. His website is easy to remember because he's the GizWiz. It's gizwiz.biz, GIZWIZ.biz. And there's another reason to go. A selfish reason. If you go and you click the button that says, what the heck is it? He has a little contest every couple of months to identify a close-up picture of a gizmo or gadget. No clues, no hints. You get, he's giving away autographed copies of Mad Magazine, 6 for the right answer, 12 for the best wrong answer. Ooh, you're getting the Halloween edition of Mad Magazine. Oh, that's spooky. Do you have it? You probably have a movie parody in there, I bet you.
I do. I have Psycho 2, the second version of Psycho.
The Electric Boogaloo. It was a great episode, I thought. Click the box, identify the gadget, get in the running for an autographed copy of Mad Magazine. I cherish mine. They're very, very handy. There's my Wonder Woman edition. There's Alfred E. Newman's Brain. This is actually a collector's item. This is the All Jaffe.
I spoke to Al Jaffe last week. 99.
How's he doing? He's retired, I know, from the fold-ins.
No, he sounds good.
Good.
He sounds good.
Sometimes, you spend 99 years doing something, and year 100, you kind of lose, your mojo. But he's going strong. I'm glad to hear it. That's great.
So that means you can work and do this another 25 years.
A little more, I hope.
30.
Thank you, Dickie D. GizWiz stuff
buddy.
he does a great podcast too with Chad Johnson. GizWiz.tv. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you, Dick. Take care. Stay safe.
Sir. Bye.
Disco
You
your
too.
way out of here. Get those roller skates on. Do the hustle. Thank you, Professor Laura, musical director. Thanks to Kim Schaffer, the phone angel. Thanks to you for joining me. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Have a great geek week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWiT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.